city. It's a city run by Democrats and unions for 50 years. What is the unemployment rate in Detroit? I hate it. Something 50%. Detroit's one of our strong markets. But the unemployment rate in Detroit is astronomically high. They're tearing half the city down. They're leaving it for farmland. Obama goes there to celebrate the triumph of organized labor. You know, it's perfect, really. Because what you have there is everything you need to know about unions. Everything you need to know about them. And as you may have heard by now, ladies and gentlemen, in his introduction of Mr. Obama, Jimmy Hoffa said, President Obama, this is... Well, why? Wait. Why read it? Why not let you hear it? But before we play Jimmy Hoffa, let's put this in the proper context, shall we? President Obama meeting with Don Hoffa in Detroit to talk about the working man. And here's what Don Hoffa had to say.
We got to keep an eye on the battle that we face, a war on workers. And you see it everywhere. It is the Tea Party. And you know there's only one way to beat and win that war. The one thing about working people is we like a good fight. And you know what? They got a war with us, and there's only going to be one winner. It's going to be the workers of Michigan and America. We're going to win that war. President Obama, this is your army. We are ready to march. Let's take these son of a bitches out and give America back to America where we belong.
That's a declaration of war. I mean, that is a come on to violence. That's a call for violence, folks. From Don Hoffa to Barack Obama, was standing right beside him. Can there be any doubt Hoffa, maybe Obama, been thinking of Republicans as their bitches ever since he was elected? Detroit unemployment has the highest unemployment rate in the U.S. It's 15.7%. 15.7%. I hope before this is all over, Hoffa has to go hide in Italy someplace. This is all about the Tea Party. Scared to death. Hoffa wants to go to the mattresses. That's what this is all about. Here's Obama. This is Obama after Hoffa.
Some proud sons and daughters of Michigan representing working people here and across the country. SEIU President Mary Kay Henry. Teamster President Jimmy Hoffa.
Yeah, right on, right on. Well, let's listen. Grab some by one again. Let's listen to Don Hoffa.
We got to keep an eye on the battle that we face, a war on workers. And you see it everywhere. It is the Tea Party. And you know there's only one way to beat and win that war. The one thing about working people is we like a good fight. And you know what? They got a war with us, and there's only going to be one winner. It's going to be the workers of Michigan and America. We're going to win that war. President Obama, this is your army. We are ready to march. Let's take these son of a bitches out and give America back to America where we belong.
Right on, there's Obama cheering and cheering because Obama said it, or Hoffa said it exactly as Obama intended it to be said. And you'll notice, ladies and gentlemen, Hoffa was not speaking metaphorically. This was not about targets on some online map. This was not talk about reloading. This was a direct call for violence. Make no mistake about this. It was a direct call for violence, a direct threat against a large portion of the American people. In fact, Hoffa was calling for attacks against his own union members. You know, a lot of Tea Party. The Tea Party has a number of Teamster members in its ranks, and that ticks Hoffa off. What happened to Godfather music? Put it back on there. I'm not through with this. There's a lot of Teamster workers in the Tea Party. They, too, are fed up with all the spinning. Here comes good old Maxine Waters. And Maxine's calling for another $1 trillion in stimulus. Way to go, Maxine. That's exactly what created the Tea Party in the first place. Robert Redford disappointed in Obama. The Washington Post with a story. Obama ratings sink to new low as hopes fade. Hopes are not fading. Ladies and gentlemen, hopes, because Obama's failing, are rising. At least they are here at the EIB network. What is this hope fades? As far as I'm concerned, hope is soaring. The more Obama fails, the better off we are. Robert Redford, wrinkles and all, says he's disappointed, can't figure out what the guy stands for, has written a column, not going to bother you with it, it's illiterate. Basically, he just doesn't understand who the guy is anymore and doesn't know what he's doing. Well, he never knew who the guy was. Everybody fell for image. Anyway, after Hoffa finishes, Obama spoke from the same podium where Hoffa had just launched his attack, but he didn't chastise Hoffa for his over-the-top attack on the Tea Party. He didn't even apologize for Hoffa's rhetoric. He did not dissociate himself from Hoffa. Instead, Obama specifically praised Hoffa. Now, mind you, this is the guy, Barack Obama, who lectured us around the clock after the Tucson shootings about how we needed to be more civil in our public discourse. Okay, cut the Godfather music. Here's Obama in Tucson, my birthday this year, January 12th. At the University of Arizona.
At a time when our discourse has become so sharply polarized.
Yeah.
At a time when we are far too eager to lay the blame for all that ails the world at the feet of those who happen to think differently than we do.
Yeah.
It's important for us to pause for a moment and make sure that we're talking with each other in a way that heals. Not in a way that wounds.
Yeah, okay, well, let's do that. Let's do that. Let's talk with each other in a way that heals and not in a way that wounds.
We got to keep an eye on the battle that we face, a war on workers. And you see it everywhere. It is the Tea Party. And you know there's only one way to beat and win that war. The one thing about working people is we like a good fight. And you know what? They got a war. They got a war with us. And there's only going to be one winner. It's going to be the workers of Michigan and America. We're going to win that war. President Obama, this is your army. We are ready to march. Let's take these son of a bitches out and give America back to America where we belong.
Yeah, when's Obama going to repudiate Hoffa? He's not going to repudiate Hoffa. He suggested it to Hoffa. And he praised Hoffa when Hoffa was finished. Let's go back to the Grooveyard or archives, November 6, 2008, CNN. Campbell Brown, No Bias, No Bull, I guess was the name of her ill-fated show. She was talking to correspondent Joe Johns about conservative reaction to the election of President-elect Obama. And Campbell Brown said, we all saw the pictures on election night, people all over the world dancing in the street, but some Americans, particularly conservatives, have very different feelings about President-elect Obama, many of them feeling really, really angry right now. Joe John's been listening to what can only be called right-wing rage. Joe, tell us what these conservatives are saying.
Guess who's already hammering away at the Democrats? Rush Limbaugh, blasting both Rahm Emanuel and Barack Obama hours after the polls closed.
He is good old-fashioned Chicago thug, just like Obama is a good old-fashioned Chicago thug. On the night of the Clinton election, Rahm Emanuel was so angry at the president's enemies that he stood up at a celebratory dinner with colleagues from the campaign. Rahm Emanuel grabbed a steak knife, and he began rattling off a list of betrayers. And as he listed their names, he shouted, dead, 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 and he plunged the steak knife into the table after every name. This is not a bunch of people that are going to govern from the center.
So if you were thinking the country is now unified, think again.
And let's not, okay, so they're getting on me. CNN was outraged when I called Obama a Chicago thug. Has there been any outrage over Jimmy Hoffa, audio soundbite number 1?
We got to keep an eye on the battle that we face, a war on workers. And you see it everywhere. It is the Tea Party. And you know there's only one way to beat and win that war. The one thing about working people is we like a good fight. And you know what? They got a war. They got a war with us. And there's only going to be one winner. It's going to be the workers of Michigan and America. We're going to win that war. President Obama, this is your army. We are ready to march. Let's take these son of a bitches out and give America back to America where we belong.
That's a direct call for violence against Tea Party. No media outrage. No reports from Joe Johns on CNN about how there isn't any unity. Obama will speak on Thursday to the son of bitches at a joint session, Congress, before the NFL kickoff of New Orleans Saints and the Green Bay Packers. This morning on Fox and Friends, the guest, Debbie Blabbermouth Schultz, has a discussion about Hoffa and his introduction to President Obama yesterday. Co-host Gretchen Carlson played the clip and said, some people are saying that's violent language, Congresswoman. The White House is refusing to respond to that. As head of the DNC, what is your official response to Hoffa's threats?
My official response is that we need to make sure that we focus on the middle class and working families, and that we bring everyone in this country together from both sides of the aisle to focus like a laser on continuing to get this economy turned around.
So wait a minute.
That should be our priority.
But wait a minute.
Right. So wait a minute. Never mind, Gretchen, you're not going to get anything from Blabbermouth Schultz. In fact, let's go back to January 16th this year on Slay the Nation. Bob Schieffer was talking to Debbie Blabbermouth Schultz. He said, you plan to dial back your rhetoric when the Congress convenes this time?
I don't plan to debate my values and the principles of my constituents any less vigorously, but I think it starts with us, and we have to lead by example. And so I think all of us need to be more careful about the words that we choose to use, including the things like the title of the repeal of health care reform. I'm glad that Speaker Boehner chose to verbalize a different title for that bill, but they so far have refused to actually change the title of job-killing health care repeal. So I think we need to be leaders by example, and when we do that, then hopefully we're going to be able to push the shock jocks and others outside our process to take a page from our book.
Right, to push that would be me, the shock jocks, of course. But Hoffa, hey, exactly what Obama wanted and said. In fact, last night, John King's USA, we have a montage. He spoke, I guess he interviewed Hoffa last night. Yeah, questions. He talked to the Teamsters Union General President Jimmy Hoffa in this montage, and he didn't even ask him about the sons of bitches comment. Listen for yourself.
I want to begin with your assessment of the president's speech. Are you convinced now that the president gets the message? What should he do in that speech? Your rank and file members, do they support the president in high numbers, or do they either stay home, or do we have a Reagan Democrat moment? Are you confident heading into 2012 that your rank and file will support this Democratic president, or will we see in places like Michigan what we saw in the Reagan days, blue-collar Reagan Democrats helping the Republicans? Do you view that? Labor right there front and center in the Romney economic plan. James Hoffa is the president of the Teamsters Union. Mr. Hoffa, thank you for your time on this Labor Day.
Right, not one question about the SOB comments. Not one question, but let's not, before we go to the break, let's not forget John King apologizing for using the term crosshairs on CNN.
We were just having a discussion about the Chicago mayoral race just a moment ago. My friend Andy Shaw, who now works for a good government group out there, used the term in the crosshairs in talking about the candidates out there. We're trying to get away from that language. Andy is a good friend. He's covered politics for a long time, but we're trying to get away from using that kind of language.
Oh, this is fascism on parade. This is how it works. This is one-party media, left-wing media supporting Democrats. Hoffa. King interviewed Hoffa for 6 minutes. Didn't even ask him about that question. We'll be right back.
The most powerful name in talk radio. Rush on the EIB network.